will tell you about the economy, history. 84,100 square kilometers. Le plus vaste territoire de France. It's the widest region of the metropolis. C'est aussi le troisième PIB de France, la Nouvelle-Aquitaine. So Nouvelle-Aquitaine is now the third income of France. Et c'est la première région agricole de France. And it's the first region in agriculture. And when you say agriculture, of course, you think of viticulture. Et bien sûr, it's indeed between the 17th to the 19th century that Northern European wine traders will decide to set up business, and they will set up business here in this Chartron section, and they will develop in a very important way, of course, the wine market.
So right now we arrive in this chateau. This is the first chateau, and we'll see what he's gonna show us. And I think we just can't let him. He talks, but this is a beautiful castle. Okay, so basically chateau is castle. All right, so we are here with Monsieur
Bruno.
Bruno is the best guide tour, give us all about this, but we're gonna just ask him a couple of questions. So you explained the chateau doesn't mean castle.
Yes, indeed. The chateau refers to a period when, indeed, wealthy bourgeois of Bordeaux wanted to invest money in the vineyard, and to show how successful in life they had been, they will have the beautiful house on the spot. They will want a beautiful house on the spot that they will name chateau. So chateau is more something after the wine estate, and it's not really a castle like we have today at Château de La Rivière, but chateau means a wine estate.
Okay. So you said
Overlooking the Dordogne River over there.
So you said only red wine they grow in here?
Yes, in the Libournais region, mainly red wine. Some
So
producers indeed are making a white, but it's mainly a production of red wine.
Why is it red wine?
Because the soils are more suitable for the Merlot first, and it's like a trend. If you had come earlier, I mean in the 60s, 70s, I could have said that it was a white vineyard. But the trend will change. We know the trend will change when we will look for the red wine because of the French paradox. I don't know if you heard about the philosophy French paradox, which is saying that it's better for your health to have red than white because the red wine is containing more polyphenol, antioxidants, and so on. So the trend will change, and it's a higher proportion of red that we produce now.
So what year started the French winery? What year was?
The Bordeaux winery, you mean? What year? As I said, antiquity. It goes back to antiquity. Yeah, okay. It's during the antiquity, that will be introduced the first vine and the wine culture by the Romans. So it's a 2,000 years old vineyard that we have in Bordeaux.
So I'm Armenian. In Armenia, they say the wine industry started 6,000 years ago. So.
Yeah, but the wine industry started really in the 18th century in Bordeaux. Yeah. The wine industry started really in the 18th century in Bordeaux. The 18th century is the century when it will become like a single culture, the vine. It's true. But regarding the introduction of the wine culture, it's first AD for us.
How many people you said they depend on this, 70,000?
Yeah, 70,000 people are directly involved in the wine industry. That's a lot. That's one job out of 8.
I don't want to hold you too much because if you want to do some stuff, and then we'll ask you some other places.
Okay,
so
thank you
very much.
My pleasure. Thank you. Enjoy the place.
Écoutez, on va attendre 5 minutes et puis après il n'y a que moi. Je sais que j'ai tout fermé, mais sinon je ferme et puis je ferai la vie.
11h15, on va à Surac, on va partir à 11h30. 11h30 pour être à Surac.
Vous êtes 24, c'est ça?
Oui, 24. We will start with the Merlot. That is an early fruiting grape around the beginning of September. And we will finish with the Cabernet. It's a late fruiting grape. Donc voilà pour les vendanges, c'est ça en général. Donc on commence par les blancs. Mais on a eu la chance d'avoir 14, 15, 16 magnifiques. Hein. But we were lucky enough to have 14, 15 and 16 beautiful years.
Who owned this place?
It's a Chinese family.
Chinese family.
Chinese family, you will be told, yeah. C'est une famille chinoise qui possède ce château, oui.
When they bought it?
Like 5 years ago, I guess. Sorry, I don't remember very well, but our guy will say. Oui, ça fait 5 ans, oui. 5 years ago. Yeah.
Okay. So 150 vineyard owned by Chinese?
Yeah. But it's part of the history, you know. It's part of the, of the business. Huh? A long time ago, Dutch, English, Irish, German, American, we have Russian.
Chinese?
Wine is business. You have three solutions today to be a vine grower in Bordeaux. Anywhere, I mean. You are already a member of the family. You could marry a member of the family, or you have cash. Okay? Medical question.
I'm allergic to wine. When I drink, I get sinus problem. Why?
Why? Maybe because you are allergic to some of the tannins, yeah, the tannins or alcohol, maybe alcohol.
Because I was told like the sulfur, they put too much sulfur.
All the sulfite. But you know the using of sulfite is controlled today. Huh? You are not allowed to use too much.
What percentage in France, sulfite?
Less than 1%, I think. Yeah, okay. I couldn't tell exactly, but yes, it's something that is controlled. You have more sulfite if you want to know in the white, because the white wine is in general more fragile. So it needs to be protected.
Huh.
So this is why some people will have more headache with the with the white than the red.
Oh, okay. But red has more tannin.
But red has more tannins.
So what is tannin? What is tannin?
It's not because of the wine, I could say. It's because of you. Because no. What I mean is that every
wine is medicinal.
Single person has what they call the level of tolerance. So it depends. The same when you smoke. It's true, we are not equal.
Caves and we'll finish with the tasting. Donc on va commencer la visite ici par une présentation du vignoble, une présentation historique. On ira dans les caves souterraines et on terminera par une dégustation. So as you know, you're here on the Fransac AOC, which is one of the smallest AOC in the Bordeaux region. Fransac is about 800 hectares of vines, but the Château de La Rivière is the biggest winery with 100 hectares in total. There are only 65 hectares of vines, and so 35 hectares of woods and houses. Here we produce 4 different wines, 2 red wines, 1 white wine and 1 rosé. So first, if we talk about the red wines, we have our first label, which is the Château de La Rivière, the name of the place. And we also produce a second wine, which is called Les Sources du Château de la Rivière. Source, which means a natural spring water. Actually, we are based on natural spring water. We'll see later on during the tour. And so the main difference between the first and the second wine is the age of the vines. We use the young vines for the blend of the second wine, which is a wine you drink within 5 years, which is a wine you drink young. And we keep the best vines for the blend of the first wine, which is a wine you can keep in cave for 10, 20, 30 years if you wish, if you have a good cave. Then if we talk about the grapes, we mainly grow the Merlot here. It's more than 80% Merlot, because our soil is limestone, so that fits the best the Merlot. We also have some Cabernet Sauvignon, some Cabernet Franc, and 3% of Malbec. And we produce 350,000 bottles a year, only for the red wines. That's the biggest production for the area. Then we also produce a white wine, which is a small production. It's 5,000 bottles, it's 1 hectare, and it's a blend of Sauvignon Blanc and Sauvignon Gris, 2 grapes. Finally, we also produce a rosé, which is about 15,000 bottles, and it's a blend of 2 grapes, the Merlot and the Cabernet Sauvignon. On the estate, there are 22 people working all year long. And then during the high season, so starting from end of April to the picking, we hire 15 more people to help to do all the work in the vineyard, because most of the work is done by hand. It's more delicate with the grapes. And for the picking, we hire 50 more people. The picking is done half by hand, half by machine. Depends on the grapes and the age of the grapes. So that's globally for the vineyard. Do you have any question?
So this is just this state, whatever you described a few minutes ago?
Yeah.
Okay. And what was the name of this state?
Château de La Rivière.
Yes.
Rivière. River.
Château de La Rivière. Any more questions?
En français, ça va?
Why switch in French?
Yeah.
On a bien compris.
Non, non, mais...
Sûr?
Oh oui.
Non, je fais la traduction.
Si, non, mais... Dites-le.
Anglais ou français, c'est égal.
Après, si vous avez des questions ou des choses... The main part of the chateau with the 3 towers is from the 16th century. 1577 exactly. And at that time it was the mayor of Bordeaux, who was Gaston de Lisle, and he first came over here and built the chateau. Then his family stayed here until the 19th century, 1896 exactly, when the family Massé de Cormeilles took over the estate, and then they decided to refurbish the chateau, so they hired the famous French architect Viollet-le-Duc. The French knows him, I guess. Yeah?
Carcassonne.
Viollet-le-Duc is known for the refonte de la cité de Carcassonne, but also for the Cathedral Notre-Dame de Paris. He's well known for this. So he came over here, and first he built the right wing, which is today the B&B. There are 5 rooms for rent. He also did the left wings, which used to be a horse stable. It's now office, the wine shop. And then he created the arcades and the balcony of the first floor. And he left his signature. On the balcony of the first floor you can see 4 gargoyles, which are actually exactly the same as the Cathedral Notre-Dame de Paris. So then we had many different French families coming over here, living at the chateau, different owners living at the chateau, until 2013, when the Chinese group Bolien purchased the estate. So, quoi? Non. Private. C'est privé. City of Bordeaux and Libourne. So there are 22 kilometers of caves down below the chateau and the vineyard. And so nowadays we store all our wines here because it's the perfect condition for storage. It's all year long the same temperature. It's 13 degrees Celsius. The humidity is very high, it's close to 100%. It's dark, there's no vibration. So in 1925, when Jean Baluteau purchased the chateau, he came here and he first created all the boxes in the rocks you'll see. There are 250 boxes to put all his wines. Now we only store the Château de La Rivière, only the first label, because the second wine, the white wine and the rosé, they are sold just after the bottling. But there are 700,000 bottles of Château de La Rivière down here. 700,000 from 1962, which is the oldest vintage. The wine which is stored here is with no label and no cap. Okay. If you touch the bottles, you see they're all wet. So that's the first reason the label would not stick. And the second reason why there's no label is because all the bottles you'll see are for sale. And as they are not sold yet, we don't know all the regulation that will be on the back label. You know, depending on where you sell the bottle, the regulation change. So for instance, in here we know that it's the Château de La Rivière 2010 and it's 1,045 bottles. So let's keep on going, let's go.
Well, this is testing room.
table. The Knight's table, which was again created in 1925 by Jean Baluto. So he was used to invite his friends for dinners here. This table is 10 meters long and there are 32 chairs. And so today we still can organize dinners here. So when we open some good bottle of wine also to get warmer. It's a nice experience.
Yeah, should be.
On the house, there's also some here. Can you guess what this is? You can touch if you want. Est-ce que vous savez ce que c'est que ces marques marron là? Vous pouvez toucher?
Moi je sais.
Nobody knows. Nobody want to guess? No? It's clay. You should touch. It's very sticky. It's clay. You know, ahead it's the vineyard that grows. And our soil is about limestone and clay. And when you plant a vine on the limestone, on the rocks, it's obviously through the clay that the roots can grow deep in the rocks. And then they find the freshness, the humidity here. You'll see further, when you're below the vineyard or the garden, you can see the roots coming through. The vineyard, the rocks and the limestone and the clay together works like a sponge. It keeps the humidity when it rains a lot, and then it releases it to the vines when they need. It's one of the best soil you can get for the vineyard. Some are empty. But here it's the Château de La Rivière vintage 2016.
2016.
Exactly, 2016, which will be bottled next year, in 2018. It's always about 2 years between the time you pick the grapes and the time you bottle them. Only the Château de La Rivière, only the first wine aged in the oak barrels. The second wine, les sources du Château de La Rivière, stays in the stainless steel tanks and then it's bottled. It's a wine, as we said earlier, it's a wine you drink within 5 years, so no need to age it in the oak. Right now, it's the Château de La Rivière vintage 2016, which age here. 2016, which will be bottled next spring, so spring 2018. It's always about 2 years between the time you pick the grapes and the time you bottle the wine. Okay. We use about 1/3 of new barrels every year. 1/3 of new barrels, it's only French oak, but we work with different coopers, different barrel makers, because it gives different flavors to the different grapes, and it's how we get the complexity when we do our final blend. All the flavors coming from the different grapes and coming from the different coopers mixed together. So at the end of the aging, we do the blending tasting. So we have different samples coming from the different plot of vines, the different grapes. We keep the best, which will be blended to make our first wine, and all the others, so most of the time the young vines, will be blended for the second wine. So the blend changes every vintage, depending on the age of the vines, but also on the quality of the vintage. If it's a difficult vintage, we will produce more second wine than the first wine. And if it's a good vintage, we'll do more first wine than second wine. You understand?
But how people like us know which one is first wine or second wine?
You don't know. You don't know.
Yes, we
Bordeaux
know.
is always like this.
Yes, we know.
You know.
Yes, we know. If Château is written on the label, it's the first label. If you don't read Château on the second label, it's the second label.
Ah,
Here at the Château de la Rivière, the second wine is les sources.
Les sources, oui.
Et bien en dessous, Château de la Rivière.
Oui, mais les sources. The
Oui,
springs
mais
of... Well,
if
but-
you don't know the name of the first wine, you cannot guess that
Yeah.
it's the second wine.
Because you are doing this before 2008. Because since 2008, it's forbidden, illegal, to reuse the word Château on the second label.
Ah, okay.
Ouais.
ah,
He knows better.
you get two points.
Yeah, thank you. Only 2 points out of 20? Wow. Thank you. My pleasure.
No, It's cumulative. Now 2, and they will give you more 2. Let's see.
Okay. So that's 22.
Tanks, and we do the final blend in the big tanks, and then we bottle from the tanks. So through the pipe goes directly to the bottling line. Most of the time, the bottling line is a truck which come and do the bottling for us. So it's done just next to the vat room.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not something necessarily done by the chateau, but it's done at the chateau.
Mis au château.
Yeah. Mise en bouteille au château. That is compulsory today. Huh?
Yeah.
If you produce a chateau wine. Huh?
You guess why, maybe?
Clay.
No. It's the angel share, la part des anges. It's the wine that evaporates from the barrels. If you go to the cognac region, if you visit some caves, you'll see the color is even darker because there's more alcohol in the cognac.
It's a fungus in fact. Huh?
Yeah, well, yes.
That we call Torula
We
cognac.
say the angel share, it's more romantic.
How do you call it in French? How did you say it?
La part des anges. La part des anges.
Just a second here. Why those just some bottles this side, some bottle in this side? Is just
For sure.
for sure.
You know,
Okay.
what is more convenient for us is this kind of box.
Oh, I
But
see.
it's not good looking. So because of the tools we have,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
for sure.
Okay. Makes sense.
So now,
Really?
plus la bouteille est grosse, mieux le vin se garde. Because the wine is sealed with a cork, a traditional cork, and the wine can breathe through the corks. It's because the wine breathes that the wine can age and get better through the time. The more there's wine in the bottle, the slower the process goes. You understand? So the wine tastes always better in a big bottle. And in Bordeaux, we say that the perfect size would be the magnum, because between a bottle and a magnum, it's exactly the same size of cork. But there's twice more wine in a magnum. Do you understand? Yeah? Les Français aussi?
And we say also in Bordeaux that to have a magnum, you need to be 2. You and the magnum.
Alors, pour les Français, ça c'est à travers le bouchon.
How long it took this to build?
It took 2 centuries and a half to dig all of this, all the tuners.
It started
From
when?
the 17th to we stopped in 1850. We stopped extracting the stones because too many stones had been extracted, and in some places it started to cave in. So it was forbidden, 1850. See here, all the bottles are labeled. They are the only ones which are labeled because they are the only ones which are not for sale.
Oh.
It's the library. It's part of the identity of the chateau. All the oldest bottles. C'est, vous comprenez? Ça, c'est les bouteilles qui font partie de l'identité des lieux, qui ne sont pas à vendre. There are some 62, some 64, and some 66. Most of them, they are big bottles because the wine which is here to go through the ages. So it's big bottles. There are some imperial, in the middle. So you may wonder if the wine is still drinkable. Completely covered with mold. Some other cork didn't move, didn't change. So depending on the quality of the corks, the quality of the wine change a lot. It's a bit hard to see with these bottles because there's the wax and the cap.
Yeah.
But if you go just next to here, there are some 64 with no cap. So we can change. Okay? If you look, for instance, look at this cork, it's covered with mold.
Ah, oui. Ah, the cork is good, huh?
But it's not it's not as bad as.
Not as bad.
Look, for instance, this one looks bad. You see?
Ah, oui.
So when we want to open an old vintage like this, first we look at the cork and then we look at the level of the wine in the bottle. Here the level is too low. When it's below the neck, it means it's too late to open the bottle. So we won't open this one. And then some others. Some others. Looks better. Il n'y en a pas beaucoup, hein. La plupart.
Okay, so if it's bad, can we take it with us one?
It's good when the level of the wine is just up the neck, a little bit up the neck. When it's down the neck, it starts. You don't know what you'll get, and then when it's below the neck, it means it's too late. Spring water we talked about at the beginning. You know, the name of the second one is the soup, natural spring water. And actually the spring water comes from the top of the limestone plateau. It's filtered through the caves and it ends in the lady bath. You've seen the lady bath? Bain des Dames. When you come from the parking, there's the chateau, but it's the same with the vineyard. Okay? And as we said, here it's all year long the same temperature. So the caves works like a natural air conditioning for the vineyard. It protects the vines from the frost and from the heat. Okay?
You are great.
So take some glasses. We need glasses. The Sauvignon Blanc and the Sauvignon Gris. There are 2/3 Sauvignon Blanc and 1/3 Sauvignon Gris. The Sauvignon Blanc is typical in Bordeaux. You find the Sauvignon Blanc everywhere when it's about white grapes. It's quite acidic. It has some grapefruit flavors, citrus aromas, and the Sauvignon Gris is more round and it gives also some tropical fruit flavors to the wine. So it's a good mix. But the Sauvignon Gris is very rare in Bordeaux. It's only 2% of the white grapes. Yeah. So this white wine is very typical.
That's what I drink always.
The white?
Yes. But then today I'm going to change my mind because where is...
I'm here.
Yeah. He told me the white wine has more sulfite than, and I was totally other way around. I didn't know that. So now I learned something.
That's why you get more headache after the white than the
But I don't get headache. I get sinus problem.
If it's not good.
If it's like, yeah.
You know, if I may, a good wine is like a good lover.
Your Frenchhood came out.
No,
your
no.
Frenchhood.
So the wine should be like a good lover. It makes you tired but not sick. Okay?
C'est à ton bichmes? You're going to try? Thank you.
Je vous laisse faire, je vais en prendre.
Okay. So,
There's a spittoon. Right
okay,
here.
so
Please stop moving the glass, you smell it. And when I say you smell it, you put your nose in the glass, because if you do like this, you will not guess anything. So do not hesitate to put your nose in the glass. So normally, not so many aromas in the first nose, but it's like invitation. So the first nose is sometimes the stage when you can guess any fruit. For example, the cork. So if it's okay, you go for the second nose. Second nose by swirling the glass like this. And this is to release the aromas. This is to break the molecules. Okay? 2 hours. No, 2 hours. Good job, huh? I'm kidding. And you smell it again. And normally you have something else. Okay. So it's not my job today to tell you about what you may expect in such a wine. What I can tell you is that we have 3 kinds of aromas and 11 families of aromas. The 3 kinds of aromas are primary, secondary, tertiary aromas. Primary aromas generally from the grape. Secondary aromas from the whole process, from the vinification to the breeding. And tertiary aromas generally from the aging. I mean, once the wine is bottled, the aging. And 11 families you need to learn: mineral, fruit, flower, more technical, empyromatic, anything like burnt match, caramel, and so on, empyromatic. Well, you need to learn. And then it's a question of memory. Okay. Because if you don't know about strawberry honeysuckle, what would you say? I'm right? That's it. So you need to, yes, to educate your nose, to smell flavors and perfumes when you cook, when you have a stroll in the forest. So, and then the tasting is the moment when...
To be ready to drink.
Oui.
But it's still the beginning.
Donc on va voir maintenant le rouge 2008, le grand vin, bon millésime et assez ancien, donc...
There are 4 grapes in this one.
4 cépages.
4 grapes. There are the Merlot. It's more than 80. It's about 84% Merlot. So it's
84%.
Then there's also some Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, and 3% of Malbec.
3% de Malbec.
The Malbec which gives the spiciness, the color.
Malbec is coming back in Bordeaux.
This one age about... Alors, the average age of the vineyard is 45 years in this one, and the oldest vines in the estate are 90 years old. It's the Malbec.
Donc ici on a des pieds de vigne de Malbec de 90 ans et l'âge moyen du vignoble de La Rivière c'est 45 ans.
45 years. For the first one, yes.
Ce qui est au-dessus de la moyenne régionale. L'âge moyen du vignoble bordelais c'est 40 ans. Ça.
L'âge moyen, the average age of the vineyard of the red vines is 35 years, but for this wine,
I know.
only for the first one it's 45 years. This one aged for about 13 months in the oak barrels.
How many?
13 months.
13 months, à 13 mois en barrique.
13 months in the barrels.
D'accord.
So it starts to be ready to drink, it starts to open up, but you can age it another 5 years if you wish.
Let's go,
5, 7, 10.
I'm looking at the color, in fact, and it's better to have like a white background under the light, and you look at the disc, in fact. So thicker and clearer is the disc, older is the wine. So it's 10 years old, almost 10 years old. So the color is on orange, brick red. This means that the wine has evolved. You know, when the red wine of Bordeaux is really young, it's like purple, I could not say, but like a Beaujolais Nouveau. It's really purple, violet color. And as time goes by, of course, it goes on crimson, garnet red, ruby red. And after, let's say, 7 years, it's more on orange, brick red, and it goes to mahogany. But when it's mahogany, forget. So it's from blue to mahogany. I'm talking about the Bordeaux red. Huh? It's different if you go to Burgundy. So the white, younger, clearer, older, darker. The red, younger, darker, older, clearer.
You
Okay?
got it, everybody? You
Yes.
understand?
Yeah.
Everybody understands.
That's the main point.
Another 2 points for you.
Okay. Alcohol, of course. Some kind of black fruit, chili fruit noir. Black currant. Second nose. But it's more fruit in alcohol, in fact. In the beginning, it's like, fresh fruit. Afterwards, it goes on jammy, fruit in alcohol. And on the palate. Do not hesitate when you have it in mouth to swirl it, to stretch it, to eat the wine, and to breathe, because it's in the nose that is taking place. All the machinery. So to have a complete idea of the wine.
First time I drink red wine, long time.
Okay. Do you enjoy it?
And longer will remain the wine in your mouth, better is the wine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.